I'm Elaine Viets. The Ink Spots first hit the charts in 1939. Their last hit was in the 1950s, more than 60 years ago. But a South Florida man, Shane LeMar, is part of a group that calls itself the world-famous Ink Spots Generations. He's also been in movies and has his own band. We're talking to Shane on today's Dead End Job Show. Today we're talking to Shane LeMar, actor, comedian, and member of the world-famous Ink Spots Generations, on today's Dead End Job Show. I'm Elaine Viets. Shane, you were born in Jamaica more than 10 years after the Ink Spots had their last hit. So how did you get to be a member of the Ink Spots Generations?
Well, it's a strange, long tale, but if you can believe this, I went to a casting for a DirecTV commercial in Miami, and one of the members from the third generation, which we'll get into more, Sonny Hatchett, he, myself, and Paul Bode's Archer and Ink Spot Generations, we were all called back, and we went down to like the third round for the same character. Keeping in mind, at the time, I think Paul was 52, I was 47, and Sonny was like 79. But we were all for the same role. We kept getting called back. So sitting in the waiting room, we all started talking about our life away from the camera, and that I was a musician, and he and Sonny Hatchett was a musician. And then he said, I'm in the Ink Spots. And I remember the Ink Spots from my parents' time, and my older sisters. I'm the last of 6 kids. That's how the conversation started. That's how I got involved.
And so you were chosen from over these other candidates?
Oh, for the commercial? No, actually, the commercial, I didn't get it, Sonny didn't get it, and Paul didn't get it. It went to a 6-year-old kid, which tells you how
A 6-year-old?
A 6-year-old kid got the role that we were all up for, so we did. But the consolation prize was Sonny Hatchett, wanted to do some more shows before he hung up, before he retired as an Ink Spot. So I backed him up with my band, Shambhala. And we just kept playing together and learning together, and he would teach me Ink Spot songs, and I would teach him, some of the songs that we're playing and some of the Glenn Miller tunes we were doing, and that's how we all got together. So from the long list of 3 people that wanted to be Ink Spots, I was one of them, yeah. That was it. Like, ink what? Are you kidding me?
The Ink Spots are famous for, among other things, the popularizing doo-wop, and their songs are, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, and Into Each Life Some Rain Must Fall. Mm-hmm. Who listens to the Ink Spots anymore?
You would be very, very surprised. You'd be very surprised because a lot of movies have Ink Spot songs in them. Because they really do 2 reasons. I think, one, they represent the time period of pre-World War II and just around post-World War II before rock and roll came in. So like the last one I saw, an Ink Spot song, new movie was, I think it was with Bill Murray, something on the Hyde Park on the Hudson. And it was in that. And then even on Walking Dead, there was an Ink Spot song playing. I think it may have, I'm not sure which one, I won't say which one it was, but there was an Ink Spot song playing in this season of The Walking Dead. So who listens to it is that first people, when they want to show you something from the 30s and the 40s, it's one of the ways that they can absolutely do it by playing an Ink Spot, or a Mills Brothers song, who preceded the Ink Spots. As far as who listens to it, it's very, very interesting because I've been doing this lecture tour with Nova Southeastern University's Lifelong Learning Center. So they're sending me to, a lot of assisted and independent living facilities. As you might imagine, a lot of our fans, original fans, are in nursing homes and independent living facilities. So that's where I go to entertain. And I run into people that actually remember the original Ink Spots, but a lot of kids and grandkids of those people, they remember seeing the Ink Spots in different performances, in the 70s and the 60s. And what they were actually seeing were the Ink Spot's second and third generation guys performing the songs. So a lot of people are familiar with the songs, like, for instance, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. It was an original Ink Spot song before the Platters did it, along with My Prayer. So they know the songs, and it takes them back to a time. But I get what you're saying. At first blush, it is not, you will not hear an Ink Spot song on the radio anywhere because it's from another time, man. It truly is.
But the ink spots are in video games. I mean,
Yes, exactly.
they're in Fallout.
Yeah, yeah. Is that not what? And what that does? The young teens, they know it from playing in what they call the in-game radio station in those alternate worlds. Those are ink spot songs playing. So like when we sing "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire," they sing along and they know it, which always kind of amazes me. But yeah, it is. It is pretty neat. It's a pretty neat concept. And with us, because I've kind of taken my take on In Spot Generations goes back to before Bill Kenny joined. Bill Kenny is the African American opera singer that was trained. I shouldn't have to say African American, because all the Ink Spots were African American, so that's kind of redundant. But when Bill Kenny came, he brought all the ballads. I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. He sang on the most famous of which is If I Didn't Care. But before Bill Kenny came with the original Ink Spots, they were a jive swing comedy act. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I do a lot of Glenn Miller songs like, Chattanooga Choo Choo, Tuxedo Junction, Little Brown Jug, as well as the ballads from the Ink Spots. So the shows are fun.
Well, you also do Java Jive. I like coffee. I like tea.
Yeah, Manhattan Transfer had a big run with that song in the 70s, believe it or not, and they still do it. So the songs do survive, and Harry Connick, he does a few Ink Spots type songs. And Rod Stewart, would you believe it? The great Rod Stewart, who you would have met in St. Louis, with somebody you'll tell me the stories about, Rod Stewart. He did a big band swing album a couple years ago. So it's alive and well. It's alive and well.
Well, what's interesting is Ian Fleming even mentioned the group in The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah. And by the way, that was my favorite James Bond movie. Where does it rank for you?
Not at the top. I kind of like Casino Royale.
You were a Connery girl, weren't you?
I liked Connery better than the others. My husband thinks that some of the later ones were good, and of course I like the current one very much.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you grow. That's wonderful. I'm a big Roger Moore fan. My two favorites, and here we go off topic. Shane will talk to you.
All right, back on topic. Back on topic.
Okay, come out with a favorite James Bond before we get back to topic real quick.
All right,
Live and Let Die.
Quick.
Live and Let Die.
All right, Live and Let Die is good, and the music was spectacular.
McCartney. Okay, back on topic. Okay.
Back on topic. Back to the Ink Spots.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of groups that claim to have the rights to the name.
Yes.
But best as I can figure out, no one does. I mean, there's been various lawsuits, and there's like 100 different ink spots running. That's a whole bottle of ink.
Yeah, one of the marketing pieces from Sonny Hatchett's third generation ink spots, because I got a lot of his archival things in the warehouse and I go through it, was that one of the marketing pieces saying that they were the most impersonated group in American music history, which would suppress Elvis Presley, which is hard to believe.
I was going to say, more than Elvis?
That's not me. That's something I can't verify. But one of the marketing pieces from their agent that represented them in the 60s, 70s, and 80s said that. Currently, there's two known ink spots groups that are actually still out there. If you're out in Las Vegas and listening to this wonderful radio show by this awesome author, Lou Ragland still performs with his ink spots in one of the Vegas casinos. And on the East Coast, Bill Godwin from Long Island, he has an ink spots group, and they come down to South Florida. I think they perform at the Coral Springs Civic Center like every January or February. So as far as active ink spots groups in the United States, I think those two guys, and then it's me. And there's also ink spots groups that are active in Africa, believe it or not. Africa, yes.
That's amazing. Now, another thing about your career, which I really like, is that you were in a kind of cult movie. Is it fair to call it that? Cool Runnings, about the Jamaican bobsled team?
All my movies I've been are cult movies. You could go to the one before that, was called Weekend at Bernie's Part 2.
Yes.
And if you could sit through Weekends at Bernie's Part 1, Part 2 is even tougher to sit through.
I liked Weekend at Bernie, and I liked it sober, and
yeah. But so that wasn't, and I could tell you some more of my Miami Vice career when I was in Miami Vice. So my entire career has been cult. But yeah, Cool Runnings is a Jamaican bobsled story. I was there, and it's one of the most successful productions I've worked on. Those royalty checks come every quarter, as you know, because you get them too. And that movie does really, really, really well. Awesome. You know, for me, the thing that really sticks out was that was John Candy's second to last movie. And I remember seeing him in Montego Bay, because I'm part of a lot of my movie stuff was all doing stunts. Is what I was. I was what's called a utility stunt man. So I'm not the guy that throw off like a 10-story building or set on fire. You know, I'm the kind of guy that they'd bring in when there was like an element of danger. Like if the principal actor was going to be a car's going to drive by, then they can't have the actor out there. So they'll say, "Hey Shane, come on, stand right here. The car's going to drive by." That was my role.
How does that make you feel, the expendable Shane?
You know, it's funny because actually it got me my Screen Actors Guild membership, you know, and the payday, you get paid as, you know, it's a union contract, so the money is excellent. You get residual rights. That makes me feel really good. But a lot of the young stunt people, you know, when we're on sets, you know, we'd watch some of the older guys walk around, and they were all creaky, you know, I mean, they'd walk real stiff. And the TV show I was on prior to those movies was a Burt Reynolds television show called BL Stryker, and Burt Reynolds was, you know, he did his own stunts, and he was a stunt guy. He was a lot of stunt guys there. And when you watch Burt Reynolds walk around the set, he walked like a robot. You know what I mean? He did. And, you know, just from all the falls, the pratfalls, and all the, you know, what they call the gags that they did. So all the young stunt people, we, you know, so we love the payday, we like we're in the business, but we're not going to hang out in this role too long, you know, because, you know, you could get hurt, yeah.
Now, you were on the original Miami Vice TV program, so tell us about that role.
Awesome. You know, awesome. It was, I was on 5 episodes in the last season, and what it was my first acting thing, and I was an extra, or what they call a special extra, and my role was the aftermath cop. Now for geeks, you'll get this. You know, the aftermath cop was like when the TV shows started, there was always a crime, okay, and then the cops would roll up on it. Then, you know, Philip Michael Thomas, you know, Crockett and Tubbs, they would come up, you know, Don Johnson, and there'd be a line that says, "Police line, do not cross." There'd always be a police officer keeping the crowd back. That's the aftermath cop.
Ah.
Yeah. So my job would be first to stop them from coming through because they looked like anybody else or drug dealers. Then they'd pull their little shield out from inside their jacket and show it to me, and I'd say, "Okay, you can come through." My entire role. That was.
I actually have all the Miami Vice TV shows. I'm going to have to look you up. Yeah.
I tell you what, it'll be very quick. All right, barbecue, got to come over. If you go to IM Internet Movie Database, type in my name, Shane. They're actually listed. Episodes I'm in are actually listed there, so you can see which one you can. I'll save you looking through the entire, you know, 5th year watch, because you know, it was such a cool movie, and I love the TV show. But I gotta tell you, looking back, it's hard to watch. Do you still enjoy it as much? Or is it really dated to you?
I enjoy the view of the Michael Mann had a particular view of Miami, which Miami now imitates. Miami now looks like a Michael Mann movie.
Absolutely.
But I look, and the men's clothes, most of the men's clothes could, except for the members-only jackets, could still be worn today. But when I look at what the women wore with the giant shoulder pads and the sequins,
and the hair,
I wince because I'm old enough to have worn clothes like that, and I did. And I think, what was I thinking?
You're wincing because, you know, somewhere out there's B-roll footage of you dressed that way, and it will surface at some point on YouTube. That's why you're wincing.
That's my nightmare. No.
I know. You know, I like the old Miami Vice stuff because I was thin. That was cool. I was like, you know, my wife looks at the pictures and goes, "Can I meet that guy? Where'd that guy go?" I go, "That guy was a starving entertainer, and believe me, I was thin because of my food, not because I was in good shape." But yeah, it was great. But one of the cool, and we're coming up on the 30th anniversary. And there's some of the last Screen Actors Guild picnic on President Day, a couple of the old guys that were on, they were saying that they were going to have a little thing. And if it happens, I will let you know so you can come and view them, because they would love that.
All right,
but
sequence and all.
Yeah, sequence and all. The coolest thing about it, though, was that once anybody worked on a TV show, and they took the entire cast and crew took such pride of being part of that production. And to start my career there, it was really awesome. And the sad part is I've never seen that level of professionalism or the pride on another production I've been part of. And I try to do the things I do, and I try to treat everybody that way. But it was awesome. And I've got so many. Well, next time we talk, and I'll tell you so many great one-on-one stories that just really stick in my mind from that. Like when Melanie Griffith came on the set. There's some really cool. And Dennis Farina, he was on the set, and I saw him.
I liked him too. He made a great cop. He was a great cop.
He was a great cop. You want to know? Here's a quick Dennis Farina story. He was the guy you saw on TV. That was him. He was so real. And I remember we were shooting underneath one of the Miami River bridges, and he was on a break, and he wanted to go make a phone call. So this is the time before cell phones. Like, there was only, like, one cell phone. Everybody had beepers. And he came up to me, and he goes, "Hey, you got a quarter? I need to make a phone call." Just like that, because he had, like, a bunch of quarters in his hand. He needed a couple more, and he had no problem coming up to someone and saying, "Hey, you got a quarter? You know, I need to make a phone call." But he truly was one of the most approachable guys. You know, as much as any, extra early guy can look at a major star and be approachable to him, he really was super awesome that way. I was so sad to hear his passing. But if you like him, you have good taste. He was a great guy. Great guy.
Now, this is something that really interested me. You are a voting member of the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So do you watch the movies? How does that work? I mean, does the Guild send you all those movies to watch?
Man, I got to tell you something. The voting part, as a voting member part for the Screen Actors Guild and the Grammys, that's fun and easy to do because they send you the categories and they put the nominations up, and then you vote for, who you think did great work you like. In my case, my wife, who's really a TV movie geek, Michelle, which you met, we'll sit down together. She looks forward to that because then we go and we'll go over it together, we debate it, and then we make our votes. So it's fun to do. One year in 2007, I was part of the selection committee. And then they do send you not just the ones that qualified, they send you everything, everything for you to make a decision. But yeah, I was inundated in the movies. My friends stopped inviting me places because I'd go and I'd say, "Hey, you want to watch a movie with me? Let me get your opinion on this." They stopped inviting me because, Shane, we see one more movie. Come on. But so the selection committee was real work, and they rotate that around. I think it's an arbitrary selection that you get to be part of the committee. But on the voting for the general membership, on all the movies that are up that are really contending, they will absolutely send you a hard copy of the DVD, or they'll send you movie tickets to your local cinema for you to go take a look at it. Or now with the internet, you can they give you a code, you go online to the Screen Actors Guild website, you log in with your code, and you can see any of the movies online that they're promoting. It's an all-encompassing thing.
So this is nothing like the Oscars big controversy where two of the Oscar voters admitted that they didn't bother to watch 12 Years a Slave, but they voted for it anyway.
That happens a lot. Yeah, it's probably the same process, because I don't know how you could watch everything that's up. Like, luckily for SAG, a lot of the things are going to be TV, so, you can. And I try, if I didn't get a chance to watch it, I'll ask somebody that watched it, and I'll ask who did exceptional work that they thought, and I'll get a couple of people's opinion, then we'll make a vote on it. I really do treat it with respect. But luckily, we really enjoy voting for the TV because, we're big DVR people, so we'll just, record, our DVR is always up at, 80%, and then we'll binge watch a bunch of things. It's cool.
Now, you've also been in tribute bands, and you played Little Richard, and Ray Charles and Chuck Berry?
Oh, yeah. Man, you did a lot of research. Yeah, and that was a big influence.
I can't see you as Little Richard.
I was smaller than I was before Miami Vice, yes. I was.
Okay.
And they gave you wigs, and we put rouge, and they made me up with rouge, made my lips really red, and there was a big bouffant hairdo wig that I'd wear, and I'd wear these flowing outfits and come down, and I would, put my leg across the piano and be pounded as we did Little Richard songs. And Chuck Berry, because I play guitar, so that was great and fun to do. I learned his songs real early. And then Ray Charles, we would just, take the wig off, and they'd put Johnson baby powder in my hair to make me gray, and give me some Wayfarer sunglasses. And one of the girls in the act, they'd lead me to the stage. I'd sit down, and I would do the Ray Charles I do the Ray Charles thing. And,
How long did you do that?
that was I got cast in that when I first moved here, and I think I did that for like 3 or 4 years between like 1986 to when my career really started cranking with TV and movies to probably around 89 or so. Then we were done, yeah, and it was great. It was really awesome because it was the first time I got to be a headliner. Because when you're doing those characters in a rock and roll show, you really do 3 songs. You come up on stage, you do 3 songs, and you walk away. And I saw, like, wow, the key to the business is hits. You got to sing the hit songs, and you got to be a headliner because they treat you totally, totally different when you do that. Which also translated to the Ink Spots Generations project we're doing right now. That I realized that you have to do the hits and be the headliner in the shows that you do, and you do get treated differently. So yeah, I was very, very fortunate, and I got to meet Connie Stevens and Frankie Avalon when they were doing a show in town called Back to the Beach. And Connie Stevens actually came and sat down next to me at my piano as was Little Richard.
Wow.
And we got a chance to talk, yeah.
Now, as the Ink Spots, or as an ink spot, what do you actually do?
Ink Spots Generations.
Ink Spots Generation, excuse me.
Yeah, because I own that one.
Okay.
I am actually one of the lead singers, on stage. And when we don't have a guitar player in the band, I play guitar. So like the show we're doing tomorrow, my guitar player of many years is retired. He turned 65, and he announced to us that I'm retiring. I'm done. So tomorrow's show, I'll be singing lead on the songs I sing lead on and the harmonies and the ones I do. I'll be playing guitar, rhythm and lead guitar on stage. I'm the producer of the show. You know what I mean? Sonny Hatchet entrusted his legacy to me, and I'm allowed to present it to the general public.
What did you learn from Sonny Hackett?
What did I learn from Sonny Hatchet? Wow, where do I start? I learned that jazz is very hard.
Is it harder? Is it harder than rock and roll?
It's much harder than rock and roll. And, because when Sonny was a jazz player, he'd say, no, I'm a hack, but he's a jazz player. And the thing with jazz is that I always say in rock and roll, it's called 3 chords and a cloud of dust. In jazz, those 3 chords become 9 chords. You know what I mean? And they're playing a lot of chords because the guitar is actually rhythmic. It's moving around. While in rock and roll, the bass moves around. So the hardest thing was like when we were trying to do the Ink Spot songs on the arrangement that Sonny did, which required you to play a jazz-style guitar. It was very difficult for me to do that. That's the first thing I learned. And the second thing I learned was that when we tried to get Sonny to play some rock and roll songs, he couldn't because he'd want to play all the chords the jazz guys played, and we'd be like moving on through the song, and he'd be on the 3rd chord. The song would move a lot quicker than that. The other thing I learned was definitely, watch your money and be very much involved in your business and what you're doing. And, because, we would have a lot of conversations about guys who made it and guys, who had comfortable retirements and guys who didn't. And a big part of that, he would say, is your management team and those who you're with. And when you're making money, be treated very respectfully and be very sober about what you're doing. When I met Sonny, he was like the treasurer of his condo board. And, he really enjoyed doing that and working with young people, moving into a nice community and, getting them acclimated, living in a condo and making sure, they had a good life. And then also he would, be very, very involved with his religion, his church, and those kind of things. So the things that what I really learned from him was, be very serious about touring, take care of your health, and be a good business person.
Now, very, very quickly, give us the website where people can find out about the Ink Spots Generations.
Oh, great. Just go to my website, ShaneLeMar, LEMAR.com. ShaneLeMar.com, and click on Entertainment, and then you'll see the Ink Spots pop up, and we have links to videos. We'll have a calendar there, where all the shows we're doing, and a way to contact if you want us to come sing some wonderful Ink Spots songs to you.
Well, thank you, Shane LeMar, actor, comedian, and member of the world-famous Ink Spots Generations, for talking to us.
And also keep in mind, support on the lane. Love Dead End Jobs. We'll support Elaine. That's most important. Yeah.
Well, I'm Elaine Viets, and you're listening to the Dead End Job Show.